for Wednesday's penultimate episode of Survivor, David vs. Goliath. I finally have to say goodbye to Christian Hubicki as my season-long pick to win it all. That's because in another advantage-heavy tribal council, he was narrowly ousted in a 3-2 vote. With Christian out of the way, listen to our Exit Interview podcast. My final power rankings of the season has an opening at the top. Nick Wilson, my long-time. Alliances are so fluid this season that no partnership is truly set in stone until we see the votes. In just the last 2 weeks we saw Davie Rickenbacker's allegiances to both Nick and Christian waver, and Mike White repeatedly waffle between voting with or against his Goliath originals. With so much up in the air, my guess is as good as yours as to who will take home the $1 million prize. And yet, I still offer my power rankings below, with brief arguments for why I think Nick will come out on top while Allison Raybould and Angelina Keeley have no chance of their own. Agree or disagree with my final power rankings? Comment with your own below and be sure to sound off about what I'm wrong about. The Season 37 finale airs Wednesday, December 19th on CBS. 1. Nick Wilson. I kept Nick at the top of my rankings all season largely because of his association with Christian, who I, wrongly, thought would be the champion. Over the last few weeks, as the partnership between Christian and Nick has fallen apart, Nick's weaknesses as both a player and observer of the game have been laid bare. Take for instance, his stint at this week's Tribal Council, where he played his fake idol in order to gauge their reaction only to wrongly read that reaction and play his real idol anyway, on a vote where his name wasn't written down once. It was such a boneheaded move, not only because he no longer has his idol, but because it was just showy enough to make everyone consider that he might be strategizing more than they previously thought. And yet, Nick has some of the best relationships in the game still, and they could very well score him a spot in front of the jury. I think Mike really wants to work with Nick, and they can both probably string along Angelina, so I'm thinking they might make a likely final three with Nick besting the two goats. 2. Cara K. I don't think we've ever seen a better fly under the radar game than Cara's. Week after week she's been the person that anyone with an idea came to in order to work out a plan to eliminate a huge threat, and every time that person has been exactly who Cara has wanted to vote for, including the week that David's advantaged Cara's own showman Stan out of the game. Cara's biggest hurdle isn't getting to the final Tribal Council. I actually think she has a good chance at being in the final three, but rather convincing the jury that she had a hand in some of the more influential moves of the season. There are final three scenarios, however, where Cara would seem like the best choice to win, like if she's sitting next to some combination of Mike, Angelina and Allison. Up against Nick and or Davie, then Cara will have to be super persuasive and be instrumental in getting to the end on her own. All that aside, Cara is who I want to see win. 3. Davie Rickenbacker. For most of the season, Davie gladly took a backseat while other players wheeled and dealed their way through the game. But in the last couple of weeks he's kicked his strategy into high gear and has shown an astute sense of awareness about the game and his competitors. His latest impressive observation came this week when he was the only one to question Nick's fake idol ploy and so persisted in searching for a new idol on his own, ultimately finding one and securing his spot in the final 6. It's no coincidence, though, that Davie received votes against him for the first time this week at the same time that he most overtly played with strategy. I think Davie is going to be a prime target for most everyone left, and so getting to the end will be the hard part. But if Davie is sitting at that final Tribal Council, everyone should be scared. I think of all the players left, Davie not only has the strongest case to make, but is the most likable personality, too. 4. Mike White. Mike has been the ultimate coattail rider and floater this season, somehow managing to fall into a power position where he was the deciding factor whether the tide swayed in favor of the Davids or the Goliaths at a number of tribal councils. The strategy of playing the middle has worked well to get Mike this far, but it's rarely one that juries reward with a win. That being said, I do think it's highly likely that Mike makes it to the end and gets to plea for his right to win. As a writer, Mike will be better than most at arguing his case, and so of course we shouldn't underestimate him. But, like, I'm not really sure what his case is going to be. He's more or less just happened into information and power positions rather than actively working to create them for himself. See Survivor, Top 20 Sexiest Females Ever, Ranked. Did your faves make our list? 5. Allison Raybould. That Allison has barely escaped elimination at the last 3 tribal councils by only 1 vote is basically proof that in order to make it to the final tribal council she'll need to win 3 challenges in a row, the next 2 immunities and what I'm assuming will be the final 4 fire-making challenge. That's a tall order, even for someone who has already won immunity once and come close to winning a few more. And, I mean, even if there's someone in the game that doesn't see Allison as a huge threat, then Allison is probably going to talk about how big of a threat she is at every tribal council she's at because, well, she already has talked about it at every tribal council she's at. The ace in Allison's hand is Kara, who I think trusts Allison and would be willing to go to the end with her. I think. But Kara has been definitely apt at managing to get major threats out with little to no blood on her own hands, so I can only assume that once eyes are set on Allison, then Kara will gladly pull the trigger. 6. Angelina Keeley. Sadly, there is no way Angelina Jacketborn, Queen of Rice, great negotiator and mother of goats, is going to pull out a win, not even if she has to pull out the rice card again and remind everyone how she sacrificed her chance at an immunity in order to feed the tribe. The best we can hope for at this point is that she's the player everyone wants to take to the end so that we get to see her great negotiation skills at work in the final tribal council. Would she take sole credit for masterminding Christian's elimination? Probably. No matter what exaggeration she concocts for her statement to the jury, I can't think of a single person that would vote for her to win. Certainly not over anyone else left in the game. She's rubbed too many people the wrong way and for the most part has been left out of all decision-making when it comes to who goes home. And let's be real, even if she doesn't make the final tribal council, I will be sounding the alarms until the series is cancelled that we demand she appear on an all-star season. Be sure to make your predictions to influence our reality TV racetrack odds. You can keep changing your predictions until just before the next live episode airs on CBS. You'll compete to win a spot on our leaderboard and eternal bragging rights. See our contest rules and sound off with other fans in our reality TV forum. Read more Gold Derby entertainment news.